Alright, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be taking another look at a Necromancer Summoner build with a little bit different twist than what I normally cover. The Blood Summoner build that I normally use is quite a bit different from this one in playstyle. So if you like this kind of content, be sure to leave me a like, comment, subscribe, all that fun jazz, and we're just going to jump right on into this. So the difference is that we are dropping Blood Surge and picking up Bone Spear and Corpse Explosion. We're also sacrificing our Golem and getting the 30% increase critical strike damage. So this build has more damage potential, I believe, than the Blood Surge build, but what you're giving up is the toughness. It's definitely harder to stay alive with this build. As you can see, like, I need to repair my gear at this point in this dungeon. But I will say the damage potential is definitely higher for this build, I feel like. Also, the Blood Summoner build is really good for, you know, area of effect right around your character, but the weakness to it is, especially with the damage resistance, the purple monsters that have the damage resistance, it's really hard to target a specific mob to take them out with the Blood Summoner build. This build does not have that problem, where the weakness for this build is more in suppressors. Suppressors are just a nightmare for this build because you don't have the toughness from the Blood Summoner build that you're used to, and you have to get inside the bubble with them to actually take out the suppressor elites, which is just a pain. But I mean, look at the damage numbers popping up with this build. I mean, it does really well, and you still have the minions are still effective with this build. Really, all I've changed is I've pulled all the points out of blood abilities and put them into bone skills, the Bone Spear, and the Corpse Explosion. That's really all I've changed from my Blood Summoner build. So it's a very similar build, but not at all similar in playstyle. So I'm going to let this play for a minute, let you take a look at the gameplay and see the differences for yourself, and we'll see, let you take a look at it, see how you feel about this play style. It's definitely more of a glass cannon type of build than the Blood Summoner, but pay particular attention to the boss fight and the damage output on the boss fight. I feel like this is a really strong build. You just have to play around it. So we'll let this play out, and then we'll go over the build after the dungeon. Alright, so let's take a look at the build now. So, one thing I will say about this, I would not run this build before you get a couple of uniques that I'm going to show you. The Blood Summoner build seems to do much better before you get the uniques for that build. It's really strong for leveling. This build, however, once you have both of the uniques for it, it is pretty strong. So we're looking at Deathless Visage. Bone Spear leaves behind echoes as it travels that explode. So adding to your AoE damage for this build, it's pretty good. And Howl from Below. This is going to give your corpse explosion more damage and make them, you know, become a corpse that charges at enemies. And also, one thing in particular to note on this item is the lucky hit chance, with a chance to stun and a chance to fear on the lucky hits. And the big one that I particularly like is the 25% corpse skill attack speed I got on this particular piece. Makes it to where I can cast Corpse Explosion really fast and get my essence back just really fast, compared to like the Blood Surge build where I'm only using Raised Skeleton. This will actually get your essence back faster than that other build. So while we're here, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the aspects I'm running on this build. Increase maximum number of skeletal mages. I've got, while you have 7 or more minions, they takes 15% reduced damage. Becoming injured while crowd control grants you unstoppable for 4 seconds. I highly recommend this aspect. I've got the Bone Spear aspect where it makes enemies vulnerable hit beyond the first, and the bone shards pierce and deal bonus damage. I'm running maximum number of skeletal warriors because this is a summoner build. This particular aspect is not needed at all for this. Put whatever you want here. There's tons of things that would be more useful than this. I do not need this particular aspect at all for this build. I just haven't found a piece to replace it yet. Alright, while Army of the Dead is active, your minions gain 97% attack speed and take 9% reduced damage. This is where most of our damage from Army of the Dead is coming from. Highly recommend this aspect though. Critical strikes with core skills increase your attack speed by 27%. So when I get a crit with Bone Spear and then I go into the Corpse Explosion, this is tying in with the increased attack speed on corpse skills from our gloves. That's part of the reason why I'm able to get my essence back so fast. Alright, so let's look at the Book of the Dead. I'm running Skeletal Warriors, Reapers with the chance to form a corpse. Skeletal Mages Cold giving me essence. I could replace this for this build. I just haven't found one that I particularly like yet. So for now, that's just what I've left it at. The Golem, I sacrificed the Iron Golem to get the 30% increased critical strike damage. Alright, let's go into our skill tree and we'll take a look at that real quick. So just pick whatever you want for the basic skill. We're not even using it. Then we're putting 5 out of 5 in Bone Spear, Enhanced Bone Spear, and Paranormal Bone Spear. Moving on down, I've got 1 point in Blood Mist, Enhanced Blood Mist, and Dreadful Blood Mist. I have 3 out of 3 in Skeletal Warrior Mastery, to increase their damage and life. 3 out of 3 in Grim Harvest, so we're getting 6 essence per corpse consumed.
Yes.
3 out of 3 in Fuel Death to get 9% increased damage for 6 seconds after consuming a corpse. 5 out of 5 Corpse Explosion, then we went into Enhanced Corpse Explosion and Plagued Corpse Explosion to get 8% increased damage to enemies that are slowed, stunned, or vulnerable. Moving on down, we have 1 point in Decrepify, Enhanced Decrepify, and Abhorrent Decrepify to help us get our cooldown back on Army of the Dead for the elites. 3 out of 3 in Skeletal Mage Mastery, 3 out of 3 in Amplify Damage, because we want to be putting Decrepify on everything we're fighting. 3 out of 3 in Necrotic Carapace, because we're getting Fortify every time a corpse is formed. This is not enough toughness, but it's one of our few sources of toughness for this build. I highly recommend this one. And then I had a few points left over. I put in Serration, Compound Fracture, and I was able to get 2 points in Avulsion. I probably need to rework this build to get more into this particular spot in some of these skills, but for now this is what I'm running. Army of the Dead, Prime Army of the Dead, Supreme Army of the Dead. 3 out of 3 in Inspiring Leader, 3 out of 3 in Hellbent Commander, 3 out of 3 in Bonded in Essence, and then 1 out of 3 in Death's Defense. The key passive I'm running is Kalen's Edict for the increased attack speed as well. Alright, so that's what we have for the build right now. Paragon Tree. The main thing I'm going to point out is the glyphs I'm using. I'm running Control, increased damage for myself and my minions. Then for the second Paragon board, I'm running the Minion board, as well as the Dead Razor glyph in the Minion Paragon board to increase our minions' damage. I highly recommend putting the Dead Razor glyph on this particular board, though. They work well together. By having this glyph here, all of these nodes within range will have an increased effect, so that's why you want that one there. Then the third Paragon board, I'm running the I don't even know what it's called, but the legendary node is Sin of Death. With at least 2 corpses nearby, you gain 15% damage reduction, or with no corpses nearby, you deal 15% increased damage. This Paragon board probably isn't the best. I haven't actually looked at the Bone Skill Paragon board, but this one definitely works for this build. And for the glyph, I'm running Amplify. So that's what I'm running for this build. You can take it for what it is. I haven't perfected this build yet. I do not have for instance, the one-handed unique weapon that increases corpse explosions damage. This build can definitely be optimized more, but I just wanted to show how strong it is with what I actually have already. So that's all I've got for you today. Be sure to leave me a like, comment, subscribe, leave comment down below, tell me what you think about the build and whether you prefer this over the Blood Summoner build that I've covered on the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.